following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. This is Comfortably Zoned Radio, and it's time for Dodgers baseball, a tale of two cities from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. My name is Peter Trunk, and my co-hosts, as always, are Ron Rabinovitz and Robert Cole. And before we start tonight's show, I just want to tell the people that are listening that tomorrow, as we speak live now, tomorrow is the 100th birthday of Jack Roosevelt Robinson, or Jackie Robinson, number 42, as we knew him as a Brooklyn Dodger. And we're going to devote the show to Jackie Robinson tonight. And I'd like to start off by telling you something that I learned only today. Being as old as I am and reading as many things as I have read over the years about Jackie Robinson, I realized something today, and I double-checked the numbers just to make sure before I opened my big mouth. But in 1945, when Jackie played for the Kansas City Monarchs, he played shortstop for the Monarchs in 1945 before he went to sign with the Dodgers and then play with Montreal Royals in 1946. But in 1945, he was a shortstop for the Kansas City Monarchs, and guess how much he made? He made, according to all the reports that I looked up, and I looked them up in 4 different places to make sure I wasn't incorrect. They paid him $400 a month. $400 a month. $400 a month in 1945 comes to between $5,100 and $5,500 in today's money. So He was paid very handsomely to play shortstop for the Kansas City Monarchs. I thought he made something crazy like the other player, like Enos Slaughter, Duke Snider, or whatever. When they were playing way down in the lower minor leagues, they were making like $50 a month or whatever. Jackie was making $400 a month. That's between $5,100 and $5,500 in today's money. And that's pretty darn good money. And one more thing about money before I hand the show over to both of you who know more about Jackie than I do. Jackie, when he made the movie that he starred in, the Jackie Robinson story, he played himself. Ruby Dee played his wife. We all know this. When he went on a speaking tour after that movie, he made more money on the speaking tour for that movie than he did the entire 1950 baseball season with the Brooklyn Dodgers in salary. So Jackie made some money back in the day. Yeah. I thought those things were interesting, and I thought I would start it off with that. I don't know whether to flip a coin and ask Ronnie Rabinovitz or Robert Cole to go first, but it doesn't matter because I'm sure whoever goes first, then it'll be the other one will chime in, and the other one will come back, and the other one will chime in again, and the other one will come back, and we'll play it back and forth like that. So out of just respect, and I'm sure Robert Cole will defer, and out of respect, we'll let Ronnie Rabinovitz begin the show. Ronnie was a personal friend of Jackie Robinson, and we're going to start the show off with some memories from our partner, Ronnie Rabinovitz. Go ahead, Ron.
Hi, Peter. Thank you. Tomorrow's a very special day for me because it's Jackie's birthday. And not only his birthday, but his 100th birthday. And as a kid growing up and into my teenage years, every year I would send a birthday card to Jackie on January 31st, that he would receive it on the 31st. Later on in life, I called him rather than sending cards. And I had his unlisted phone number in Stamford, Connecticut. He was a magnificent man. They say Babe Ruth changed baseball. Jackie Robinson changed America, and he did it alone. Martin Luther King once said that Jackie was a pilgrim that walked in the lonesome byways toward the high road of freedom. He was a sit-inner before sit-ins and a freedom rider before freedom rides. And it's amazing. Larry King once, when I was on his show, when he did an interview with me in L.A., he was telling me that the first time he interviewed Martin Luther King, he introduced him as the founder of the Civil Rights Movement. And Martin Luther King stopped him and said, Larry, I have to correct you. I'm not the founder. Jackie Robinson was. And that's so true because Martin Luther King at the time was in college when Jackie broke in 1947. And when you just imagine back in 1946, there were 400 white baseball players in the major leagues. In 1947, there were 399 whites and one black. It was amazing. Just imagine the guts, the courage, the dedication, and the horrific abuse this man took because he wanted to play baseball. Talk about bullying. Jackie saw bullying firsthand. Whoever has seen the movie 42 can understand that there was a terrible amount of racism and terrible catcalls that were made to him, and it was just terrible. Being a rookie in the major leagues is tough enough, but then having all of these distractions, it's just unconscionable that he could bear this. Now, and I know that they had to keep 42, the movie, PG-13. And I know also that that was only a smattering. It was 100 times worse than that. And a legacy doesn't just happen. The legacy of Jackie Robinson becomes more clear the more we talk about it. And I've been talking about him for many, many years, to kids, to adults, to corporations, to companies, organizations, and schools throughout this country, because I don't want people to forget him. He was an amazing man. He was arguably the most important athlete that ever lived. He was a real hero. He never drank, he never smoked, he never took drugs, and he never refused to sign a kid's autograph. His famous quote is, "A life is not important except for the impact it has on other lives." And I don't know if he ever realized what a tremendous impact he had on mine. I believe on tomorrow or this weekend, I'm not sure, Major League Baseball, the MLB Network, is going to be doing a Ken Burns documentary that came out about a year ago. It's excellent if you haven't seen it. It's a two-part, one part on one day and another part the other next day. But it's fabulous. And I know for a fact that Ken Burns received a lot of hate mail when he was working on this documentary. The documentary is about Confederate flag controversies. It's about integrating swimming pools. It's about driving while black. It's about stop and frisk. It's about discrimination. It's about black churches being burned to the ground. It's about Black Lives Matter. That sadly hasn't changed, and it continually reminds all of us of our job as human beings with regard to the question of race. So it's a wonderful thing, and I would encourage anybody to watch it. What Jackie did in 1947, Martin Luther King was at Morehouse College. Harry Truman hadn't integrated the military yet. Brown versus Board of Education hadn't happened. There was no organized sit-ins at lunch counters, although as a teenager, Jackie had done that. It was a decade before Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat at the Montgomery Alabama bus. But Jackie did that in 1944 when he refused to go to the back of the bus in the Army and was court-martialed and found not guilty. The city of Philadelphia has offered an apology to the Robinson family 70 years after the horrible abuse Jackie endured at the hands of the Phillies and their manager, Ben Chapman. The city will honor Jackie's legacy by proclamation being presented to Rachel Robinson. The abuse, however, was no better in Pittsburgh or Cincinnati or Chicago or St. Louis. It was, it was terrible. So he was such a phenomenal man, not only playing baseball, but what he did for America. He used to go down to the South and help rebuild churches that were burned to the ground. He started a Harlem National Bank because a lot of the financial institutions were artificially raising their interest rates for African Americans. So he started a new whole bank so that they could get loans. He also started a construction company to help them build homes. I mean, he was just a magnificent man. He was very active in an organization called the National Conference of Christians and Jews, and he used to speak at many functions in Wisconsin and other places about Brotherhood and Brotherhood Week and Brotherhood Month, which is usually in February. The other thing I wanted to mention is that there's going to be, Major League Baseball has announced that, normally they honor Jackie on April 15th, on Jackie Robinson Day, because that was the first day he played in 1947. But they are now going to honor him throughout the entire 2019 season. It'll be kicked off tomorrow at New York City with a public school presentation. Rachel will be there. Sharon will be there, and a few others. The commissioner will be there. And then there'll be some events at Dodger Stadium where there are going to be 300 kids at Dodger Stadium talking about Jackie. UCLA, where he went to college, they're going to have a baseball game and a jazz concert. And, of course, on April 15th, Jackie Robinson Day will be celebrated throughout the all the baseball. Whoever has a home game that day will be wearing. Every player, every manager, every umpire will wear number 42. It's amazing how they do that. There's so many things going on, and I'm happy to announce that there had been a dip of African Americans playing Major League Baseball. But last year, the beginning of last year's season, the amount of African Americans playing Major League Baseball had increased to 8.4%, which was the highest since 2012. So it's a wonderful testament that they've been working Major League Baseball with the RBI program, which stands for Restoring Baseball in the Inner Cities and other things like that. So, and then there is a new museum that's going to be phenomenal in New York City that's opening in December. It'll be a Jackie Robinson Museum. I've seen pictures of it. I hope to be there at the opening with Rachel and Sharon, and I'm very excited about the whole thing. So that's it for right now, and maybe a little bit later I'll read a couple of letters that Jackie personally sent to me, and you can see from the way he writes how he felt about me and how he felt about politics and things like that. It'll be interesting. So,
thank you, Ronnie.
That's it. Happy birthday. You bet.
Thank you, Ron Rabinovitz. Robert Cole, do you have anything that you would like to say?
Wow, now that's a tough act to follow.
Oh, sure.
That's like trying to come up after, Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth.
Uh-huh.
Very good, Ron. That was great.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit, I guess, about Jackie as the baseball player. As Peter mentioned in the beginning, he was playing for the Kansas City Monarchs. Branch Rickey was looking for a black player who would fit what he was looking for. He fictitiously put out that he was starting a new black baseball league, so this way when he was bringing in potential players to interview, nobody would get the wiser. He knew he was going to receive a lot of flack, which he did, and he tried to do things on the sneak as far as that goes. The great meeting between Rickey and Jackie, where Rickey called Jackie all kinds of names, and said, and Jackie said, "Don't you want a real man?" And Rickey basically said, "A real man will turn the other cheek. This is very, very important, that you can't fight back initially." Just imagine how much nerve and will that took for a man of Jackie's stature, a very, very proud man, to be able to do that and do what he did. During the 1947 season, Ronnie mentioned how the Phillies just put him under tremendous pressure. In fact, the general manager of the Phillies, Herb Panek, called up Rickey, and this is in the movie 42, and it is absolutely true, called up and said, "Please, please, please do not bring Jackie Robinson to Philadelphia." And Rickey refused, and Jackie did go and make that trip. Ben Chapman ridiculed, made fun of, catcalled, called Jackie all kinds of names. Then when he became riddled with criticism, Chapman had the balls to ask Jackie to pose for a picture with him. Jackie did so. Chapman refused to shake Jackie's hand, and in the famous picture, they're holding a bat together, Jackie smiling. Imagine the courage and the restraint that Jackie Robinson had to show to do that, and yet he did that. Jackie Robinson was a natural second baseman, yet he had to play first base in his first year. Branch Rickey, tried to take care of everything, knew that as a second baseman or a shortstop, runners would be coming down, second base spikes high, so he had Jackie play first. Of course, that didn't prevent players from stepping on Jackie's Achilles and on his heel, and yet Jackie put up with that. Jackie was asked a couple of years into his career, when did he feel like he was accepted? And Jackie's reply was, "The first time I was ejected from a baseball game by an umpire, I knew I was finally accepted." He said, "I knew that I was getting away with stuff that no other player was getting away with because of the fact that umpires didn't want to start an incident. But when I was thrown out of my first game, I felt I really had it made." And that tells you something as well. I mean, Jackie knew what was going on, and what was going on around him. He played second base, probably the best second baseman from 1948 to 1952. And then the Dodgers brought up Jim Gilliam to play second base. All of a sudden, Jackie's position was taken away from him. He was asked to play left field. He was asked to play third base. He played a little first base. Never, really didn't complain. It wasn't until his later years, when Walter Olson didn't use him as much as Jackie thought he should be used, that he did complain a little bit. But as a baseball player, he was unsurpassed, put fear into pitchers. Peter probably remember this. One of the innovations that television did was the split screen, to have Jackie Robinson isolated in a little box, running off first base. And that was the first time that was ever done. And it was because Jackie put fear in the pitchers and was ready to steal in any time, anywhere. And they innovated and, put that box in. just a great baseball player, and as Ronnie said, just a great man. He got involved in politics. He never stood still. He was constantly working hard for his people and his race. Did cause some friction between him and Roy Campanella. He could never understand why Campy didn't get involved. Roy never wanted to get politically involved, and Jackie thought it was vitally important for their race and for their people to be involved, and he did. He stuck his neck out many a time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought I would...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Peter.
No, I remember distinctly the innovation, if you want to call it that, and that's probably what it was, of the split screen. And wherever Robinson was, it didn't have to be first base. It could have been second base or third base.
Right.
And they would split the screen, and they would show the game on the right-hand side, and Robinson would be on the left-hand side. If he was on third base, they would have a split screen of him charging one-third or one-halfway down the line during each pitch. He certainly was electric on the field. He had the ability to take over a game. I remember, if I may be so bold, and I don't mean to hurt your feelings, Ronnie Rabinovitz, but there was a little taste, a very small taste, like a teaspoon in your morning coffee, a teaspoon of extra water, when Yasiel Puig came up with the Los Angeles Dodgers a few years ago. When Yasiel Puig would hit a ball for a base hit, he didn't just run to first base and make his turn like 99% of major leaguers do. He was running out of the batter's box for second base and only stopped when he saw that he couldn't make it to second base. And if he hit a tweener, if Puig hit a tweener, he didn't just roll in to second base. His eyes and heart were on third base, and he would only stop at second base if he saw at the last second he couldn't make it to third. And that's what I remember about Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson was like the young person at your family picnic softball game. After a few beers, he would hit the young, everybody is 40 or 50 years old, out of shape, overweight. There's always that one 15 or 16-year-old kid that would get the line drive base hit, and instead of stopping at first base, he would run to second base and slide in. And normally he would make it, and everyone would laugh. But that's the way Jackie played the game. And
that's how he played the game, you're right.
And that's the way he played the game. The game, once that game started, once they were all, as they say, the old saying goes, between the white lines, it was Jackie was going to beat you. He was going to beat you with his legs. He was going to beat you with his glove. He was going to beat you with his arm. He was going to beat you with his bat. He was going to beat you with his brain. Whatever way he could beat you, that's the way he was going to beat you. And that is what I remember most about Jackie Robinson. He was electrifying. Totally
fierce competitor. Yep.
Very fierce competitor, almost to the point of, give it a break, will you please? Almost to that point. He just never gave in, never let up. And that's, one of the things, in my way of thinking, that killed him early. Not only all the abuse, not only all the pressure of the first being the first, and not only being the first, but excelling. He wasn't the first and made it as a major leaguer, which would have been amazing in itself. He excelled. He was Rookie of the Year.
Yes, he did.
A year and a half later, he was Most Valuable Player. He excelled at what he did, and he was electrifying. Go ahead.
He was not going to be allowed to just be a major leaguer. He had to excel. Okay, he had that pressure on him because just to be another player, would not have been good enough. Prince Ricky put a lot of pressure on him. He not only had to be in major leagues, he had to be better than anybody else.
Right. Good
point. And he couldn't fight back. That
not the first 2 years. No, he couldn't.
No.
First 2 years.
That fire in his belly never left him. Okay?
No.
In his last year, when the team made that trip to Japan,
yes.
One of the games, Jackie stole home. Another game, he got thrown out of the game by the umpire for arguing. I mean, that fire never, ever left him. That was with him till till the very last inning of the very last game.
Yeah, true.
I remember, in 1951 when Bobby Thompson hit that home run that was heard all around the world, they said. All the Dodgers had left the field except Jackie.
Mm-hmm.
He stood behind second base, behind the pitcher's mound, watching Bobby Thompson run around those bases because he wanted to be sure that he touched each base.
Yep.
He was the only Dodger on the field.
There are photographs of that. Yeah,
that's right.
And then,
that's
of course,
the type of
you had the final game, regular season game in 51 when Jackie made the unbelievable catch to save the game. From the Phillies scoring the game-winning run. People still don't believe that catch. And then hitting the home run that won the game. And then the pictures of Jackie after the game, he was absolutely exhausted. I mean, you just look at him and you knew he put it all out there on the field. And that's the way he played.
That's right.
That game was played at Connie Mack Stadium in Philadelphia. And you're right, he made the diving stab. The Dodgers came back from a huge deficit in that game. They were losing like 5-0 or 6-0 or something like that. They came back. They won it in extra innings, 9-8. But Robinson made the diving catch in the bottom of the ninth inning to save the game. And when he made that diving catch, the ball stuck in his glove and pounded him right underneath as he fell to the earth. Pounded him underneath his diaphragm and actually knocked him out cold. And he did not drop the ball. He was out cold for a couple of seconds. And then to come back and in extra innings to hit the home run, that was the difference in that game for the Dodgers to win that game, which they needed. They had to win that game. Was miraculous. It was absolutely miraculous. And when I see pictures of Jack, I smile. And I don't know if you guys do, but I do. I see pictures of Jackie that aren't explained. Like sometimes a guy will post a picture of Robinson on one of the sites at Facebook. I can almost tell by his weight and the color of his hair
what year
it was.
Yeah.
Right.
If his hair is totally black and he's skinny as a rail, it's 1947 or 48.
Right.
If he's got some pounds on him and he's got some gray in his hair, it's not 47 or 48. Although the poster might claim it is, and you know right away that it's not. Yeah. And of course, I
he was
can tell.
He was prematurely gray.
Yes, he was. So was Duke Snyder. Duke Snyder.
Yeah.
The Silver Fox. But it's funny how people like such a large. I hesitate to use a number, but such a large percentage of baseball fans that comment on Jackie Robinson. not necessarily negatively, but definitely not positively. And when you when you click on their name and you go to their Facebook page, they're like 31 or 33 years old. They have no clue what they're talking about.
They have no clue. No.
There was a guy on Facebook who will remain nameless. There were guys, plural, with an S, guys on Facebook that claim the only reason Jackie is in the Hall of Fame is because he was the first black guy.
That by itself should have been enough to put him in, but that's not the reason why he's in.
That's not why. That's right. That's
right.
But
we know better, don't we, Robert Cole?
We know better.
But
sure do.
And then lately, that was years ago. Lately, the thing is now there are some folks that are posting Major League Baseball is making a huge mistake in dedicating the 2019 season to Jackie Robinson because no man is bigger than the game itself. And right away, I find myself like a little twitch in my cheek or in my top lip, and I go, and sure enough, I go to their Facebook page, and they're I'm not going to say the word racist because they're not.
Yeah.
But they're comfortably in the category of like I don't know how to say it. I'm at a loss for words here, but it's a comfortable racism.
Yeah.
It's not going out on the streets with a Confederate flag and a Trump hat on or something and screaming the N-word. It's not that. It's not
very
that.
Subtle. Very
it's
subtle.
Not that.
Yeah.
It's very, very subtle. There's a dog whistle here or there or whatever.
Yeah.
But it irks me. It really does irk me.
It does me too. It irks me.
Yeah, it really does. And I know it does you because it does me.
What was phenomenal to me was up until a couple of years ago when they retired 42 throughout baseball, you actually had black baseball players who didn't know who Jackie Robinson was.
I remember that.
Right.
I remember that.
That's right.
To me, that was phenomenal.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you not, as a black baseball player, not know?
Let me keep it in the same. Let me keep it in the same vein as what Jackie went through in 46 and 47 and 48 and 49, and probably his whole career, but
his whole career.
Very, very heavily in 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. What he went through. There was an interview. There was a snippet of a video that I saw on Curt Flood. And Curt Flood was playing in the minor leagues. Curt Flood was playing in the minor leagues, and they were playing a doubleheader. And between games, they were going to wash the uniform tops or something like that, or get them dried or whatever. And the clubhouse man picked Curt Flood's uniform shirt up with a stick with a nail on it out of the pile of the players' shirts.
He wouldn't touch it.
He couldn't touch it. It was a black guy's shirt. This is the type of shit. This is the type of shit that Jackie Robinson went through every day.
Every day.
Every single day.
Every single day. That's right.
That's what he went through.
It was a very lonely existence.
I'll tell you what.
Lonely.
If he didn't die at 53, I would have been surprised.
Right. He carried.
Oh, brother, did he ever?
For the whole African American and minorities, of all minorities, he carried them on his shoulders. This man stole home 19 times. Imagine.
Yep.
Being on third base and taking off as the pitcher's winding up 19 times, including one time in a World Series. Amazing man. He used to make those pitchers crazy. He'd be jumping around up and down.
How many times did he force a balk?
Yeah.
How many times did he force a balk?
Right, exactly. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he'd always go after that extra base.
I wonder if you would be so kind as to pick out a personal letter that Jackie sent you,
Sure.
Ron
Sure.
Rabinovitz, and read it on the air before we close up shop here tonight.
Okay. All right. This one happened to be a letter that he sent me after I had sent him a birthday card. Dear Ronnie, thanks for your birthday wishes. At my age, however, Ronnie, it's nicer to get the best wishes after the date passes. Smile, he says in parentheses. I am glad that you're optimistic about the Dodgers. I am positive they will do better than last year, but I don't know how much better. I can't agree much about Moon and Rapolsky, but I hope you are right there also. I have been and expect to be very busy during the coming year, but I am going to keep a close eye on the political scene. I was disappointed in the developments of the opening days of Congress and have once again returned to the ranks of the independent with leanings toward the Republicans. It's quite obvious that the Democrats are run by the Johnsons and the Rayburns, and I cannot stomach the rest who not have enough to make their point of view a factor. Perhaps the rest of the Democrats talk for effect, but when important issues come up, they can't do a thing. At this sitting, I expect to go all out for the Republicans in 1960, and I'm going to urge all my friends to do the same. As long as we have to sit back and see the things that have developed, I would prefer the kind of leadership that at least is honest and expresses its own viewpoint. It may not be the way I believe, but it is at least their opinion, and I trust a man who at least stands by his own beliefs. I can't say as much for the Democrats who promise so much but produce nothing. Well, Ronnie, I didn't intend to get into a big political hassle, but I'm sure you and your dad must know how much I resented what just happened. Give my regards to all, Ronnie. I do hope that the new year will bring you and everything you're looking for. Always, Jackie. And he wrote a lot of letters like that where he would talk about nice, sweet things to me, and then he'll put in a little message there for my dad. And of course,
yeah, right.
You know, at those days, the Democrats were Dixiecrats. And, you know, the Rayburns and the Johnsons and all those people, they were bigots. And he resented that.
Yeah, that was a very difficult time, especially for him.
Yes.
The politics were different. I mean, they started to change. Obviously, that letter was written in 1959, because you mentioned Wally and Rip Rapolsky. So,
It might have been in 1960, early 60, because his birthday's January 31st. So
it was probably very early in
December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
But you know, okay. I mean, we all know that Jackie campaigned for Nelson Rockefeller.
Right, he did. Jackie was very close to Nelson Rockefeller.
Yeah. Now,
in today's world,
considered liberal.
Be thrown out of the Republican Party.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Nelson Rockefeller was considered liberal. There was a wing of the Republican Party called the, Rockefeller Republicans, which was a liberal wing of the party. I mean, that wouldn't be allowed today. But
Jacob Javits.
Yeah.
He walked out of
that. How attuned that Jackie was with everything, and that's, like we were saying, some of the things that, caused his early death. He was so involved and so cognizant of things going on.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just about sports. It wasn't just about baseball. Once he left baseball, he moved on, and
That's right.
He never really relaxed.
No, he never did. I wanted to read one more letter. This was dated October 24th, 1972. It was to Rachel. Dear Mrs. Robinson, this morning I learned of the great loss we all share on the death of your husband. I immediately sent you a telegram, but somehow I don't feel that was enough. I felt the need to express to you how much I loved and admired Jackie. I first met Jackie when I was 7 years old. The deep friendship we developed has continued up to this time. As I look back, I realize how much that friendship meant, not only then, but all through my formative years and up to this time. I learned a lot from him about life and growing up. I would honestly say that Jackie played a major role in my growing up and future development. One thing that stands out so much in my mind is when Jackie retired from baseball. I recall locking myself in the room and crying for hours. I wrote Jackie about that, and he wrote back that his own son, Jackie Jr., was also crying and very disturbed. He tried to point out to me that everything would be okay for him, and it seemed that if Jackie said everything was going to be fine, that was all I needed to know in order to feel better myself. I recall the beautiful letter he sent me when I was bar mitzvah and the telegram I received from graduating from high school. Words could never express how much these memories have meant to me. I learned from Jackie the true meaning of being a man. I learned how cruel and full of hate some people are to others. And probably most important of all, I learned never to back down on a cause you truly believe in, no matter what the odds against you might be. These are important things for a boy to know while growing up. And I will always cherish these memories and recall the beauty of a friendship between a man and a boy. Just 9 days ago, I stood in front of my television set with happy tears in my eyes, watching my friend honored at the World Series. I realize that Jackie is remembered by many for his many accomplishments in baseball, but I feel that his many accomplishments after retiring from the sport are far greater. The work he has done with youth, the drug program, civil rights, and other causes that he felt important will benefit us and our children in the years to come. Today I feel so empty and sad by the loss of this great man. My son is 1 year old, my daughter 3. When they are old enough to understand, I will sit them down and tell them the story of Jackie Robinson. Not having seen them play and not having followed his career on and off the field, I am not sure how much they will be able to get out of our chat. But in the years to come, they will see that I have tried to instill in them the same fine qualities of life that Jackie tried to instill in me. In his memory, I will dedicate my efforts in that direction. Jackie might be gone, but his memory will live on in our hearts forever. May God bless you, Sharon and David, through these trying days. I am hoping the day will come when I will have the opportunity to meet you and the rest of your fine family. If I can be of any assistance to you now or in the future, please feel free to call on me. If ever in the Minneapolis area, I do hope you will look us up. Always, Ronnie.
Super.
Great letter.
Yeah.
Great letter.
Super letter.
I poured out my heart to her because that's I love this band. Yeah.
I could hear it in every sentence.
Yeah.
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 Robert Cole, do you have anything to add to that?
No, sir. I'm going to let us close on that.
And I was hinting at that in my question to you. I think we will close on that wonderful, wonderful letter by Ronnie Rabinovitz to Jackie Robinson's widow. And in memory of Jackie, happy birthday, Jackie, tomorrow.
Happy birthday,
your
Jackie.
100th. Thank you, gentlemen. Robert Cole and Ron Rabinovitz, I thank you as always. And until next week, I say good night to you both.
Okay. Good night.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Robert. Good night.
Good night.
The proceeding was a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production. Thank you for listening.